All right. The episode you've been waiting for.
You should have we got banned. We should have started the Star Wars play.
With what?
The Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. But then we would get like a copyright infringement strike.
They would just mute the initial part of the stream that plays the stuff. Right?
Yeah,
so.
that is true. But then usually like right when you start the stream, no one's watching, so it just would have been played for no one.
That's awesome. But people that watch it post, we have those people that watch it after we've been live.
But it would mute it then.
Just for that section.
Right.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, I hear you.
That's what I mean. Like
I'm saying you're right. Just mess up my moment of stuff.
I know. Crazy logic stuff. Yeah. Tonight's gonna be a fun one. We are talking about Star Wars. And
all things Star Wars.
The Mandalorian and Unreal 4.26 just released a couple days ago, which is it's hard to talk about, at least for visual effects, Mandalorian without talking about Unreal because they use it so much.
Yeah. Heavily, actually.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the features they released for the new one were informed by it, or because of the Mandalorian. That's the tools that they're using, the tool sets that they're requesting. A lot of that got pushed into the new release, which is pretty cool.
I actually, it's funny because my wife and I are watching we're doing the Mandalorian, to catch up for the stream. And the part where they go to the Jedi Temple and he's flying, that's Unreal. I was like, that's Unreal terrain.
Oh yeah. Or it looks like they're walking by Megascan rocks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, yeah, I've seen that one before.
Like, yeah, you ain't fooling me there, guys.
I know. Yeah, that was a good one. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I loved it. I really did. Really, really did. Sorry, I'm letting someone know that we're on.
Oh,
they want me to message them.
To let them know when the Mando discussion would start.
Yep. Let them know.
How's everybody in chat doing tonight? We have a couple people joining us.
Yeah. It's one of those Monday nights that I don't know how people are gonna be here on the initial Monday night thing,
Yeah, especially as it gets into the holidays, people are doing a lot of stuff.
The work about Mando. It's more than Mando, Jeremy. It's all things Star Wars.
Well, I know I put that in the description, but we're talking about all things Star Wars.
All right, I'll let you do that this time. No. So very first thing, if you have not seen The Mandalorian, we are going to be talking about The Mandalorian tonight. So, spoilers. This is your spoiler warning in advance.
Yep.
Because we don't want to spoil the awesomeness that is The Mandalorian, which is hands down the greatest thing Disney has done with Star Wars. And by hands down, I'm admitting it's a very low bar that has been set. In a sense of creative storytelling.
Sure. It's probably one of the best things they have going on in Disney Plus too.
It's probably the best thing they have going on Disney Plus. For certain. So, but yes, all that to be said, The Mandalorian is led by the creative person behind is Jon Favreau. Who those who don't know who Jon Favreau is, Jon Favreau may have helped launch this entire little tiny franchise called the Marvel film universe. Obviously, he didn't make Marvel comics, but he created Iron Man and helped bring those. He's actually also in those in the movies as well. So John is a huge Star Wars fanboy, and so when he got a hold of this, it was really good news because he knows for us as fans, it's the first person Disney brought in that gave us confidence. Ryan Johnson is garbage, in my opinion. Really disappointed in that. Very bitter. I'm on. There's a sharp divide in Disney fandom. To be fair, I'd say it's like 70-30. I think 30% of Disney fans love the new movies, think they're great. 70 or 50% hates them, and the other 20% is like, yeah, I'm so-so. I'd probably fall between hate them and so-so if I'm really honest. I just feel like they weren't really well done story-wise. Visually, they are gorgeous. I think they're some of the best films visually.
Oh, sure.
But like the epitome of all of it is when they're doing the scene where they're dropping the space bombs on the cruiser from space. like it's B-52 bombers. I'm like, what? What?
And it's like lots of tiny little bombs, which I don't understand.
Ugh.
Because wouldn't it just shows. Like, I feel like those things would have armor.
Oh, and shields. Like, it just shows a lack of understanding Star Wars, the Star Wars universe. It confirmed to me that they're just filmmakers making whatever they want to do, not people that love Star Wars.
Sure.
Because like, there's like Star Wars fans, people who love Star Wars, and then there's the Star Wars fandom, because like fanatics, right? The people that have read all the books, I understand Rogue Squadron, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and so like I would fall into that category, right? I've read the Rogue Squadron series, I've read Dark Force Rising, and they have 200 novels now, I think, in the Star Wars fandom. Plus they have like the Star Wars encyclopedias, and like they have the Star Wars, all the like mechanics behind the Star Wars ships and different vehicles. And so if you really want to get into Star Wars, you could spend your life in Star Wars. Literally. So that brings us to the Mando, right?
Yes.
The Mandalorian is essentially a story. It's really book driven.
It was a book originally.
What?
It was a book originally.
Yeah, sorry. Correct.
Okay. Nice.
So no, it's why it's chapter driven, right? So they've written it as chapters.
Yep. I mean, that's good to know, because sometimes I'm wondering, I wonder where they're going with it, because as with the whole Star Wars universe, like this could just be a thing that just goes and goes and goes, like it's kind of soap opera ish. But if it's a book, it makes me think that it's leading somewhere that satisfying conclusion.
I'm sorry. Are you saying, is this a book in advance? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, it is not. It was not a book first. I'm sorry. No.
They're just trying to give it that feeling.
I think they wrote it. I think they wrote the story as a book internally.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And the reason I think that is, if you look at the way the episode lengths are, let me see if I can pull that up here. The Mandalorian the episode timestamps are all over the map, right?
Yeah, that's one that are pretty long. Some are very short.
25 minutes long, and then 52 minutes long, right? I mean, it's all over the map, which I actually appreciate. Hey, Rush. I appreciate the fact that they are treating this as, it's not cookie cutter, right? It's not, we have to do 44 minutes. It's tell the story of the chapter. And whatever that is, that's fine. Go to the next chapter.
Yep.
So this kind of really, The Mandalorian really ties the bridge between the Star Wars films and then what I will call like Rebels and the Clone Wars cartoon series or animated series. And they also have Star Wars Legends. So it's kind of tying all those pieces together. This season specifically has really brought in some really cool characters.
Except Ron Skull.
I definitely noticed that Gideon is screaming Darth Vader in the outfit in the last episode, right?
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, for you guys just joining us, this is Mandalorian spoilers in this episode. So just you've been warned. Mando spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, just know that's coming.
I guess we could try to talk about some stuff and not be super specific. There you go. You've got it pulled up here. Awesome.
Yep. And Drawn Skull, I am excited for Wonder Woman because it was one of the last films I worked on.
You know, I'm excited for Wonder Woman because it's one of the last films Jeremy has worked on, and it's just to know that his work will never be shown again makes me happy. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Hang on.
To know that no one will ever have to look at anything he's made again makes me so happy.
I'm just kidding.
I'm excited that it's coming out on HBO Max for free.
Oh my word!
Which is
I saw. That's a diversion topic, but someone, I forget who it was, I just saw briefly that someone slammed it as like the worst service ever. Like, why are we, putting this on HBO Max? Anyway,
Because they're trying to boost it, right? It's like a huge, expensive gamble to boost their service.
I think it's.
We'll see. I'm super excited to be able to watch Dune next year.
Oh my goodness, Dune! Yeah.
Without having to go to a theater for free.
I still want to. I'm still a theater guy, man. I love theaters.
Well, I mean, I do too, but I'm not gonna go to a theater right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, if the theaters are open, I'd go see it in a theater, but they're not. So.
Yeah. If you're in the West Coast, you're in California right now. You're experiencing a wonderful big lockdown. So, that's definitely rough stuff. Yeah, Dune, Stu. What's up, Stu?
I know.
We're talking all things Star Wars.
I did work on 1984 Round School. Yep. All right.
Yeah, there's a refrigerator in one of the background shots, and he made that refrigerator.
Yep. Just the handle, though.
Just the handle.
Just a couple of.
It's an action handle.
Just the stuff in the refrigerator, but it doesn't open. But believe me, that interior, immaculate.
It's a hidden gem. It'll be an Easter egg on the DVD version. You can open the refrigerator while watching.
I know. You laugh, but I've made stuff like that.
Oh, no. Tell what you made. You can tell what you did in it.
Yeah, I did the jet. Hey, it's actually in the trailer now. The newest one.
What?
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
I haven't seen the newest trailer. I didn't see your amazing jet. So, again, we're talking Star Wars, not just The Mandalorian. We're talking all things Star Wars. So we're talking Star Wars Expanded Universe. Rumors coming out of Star Wars. So, of course, the first rumor that people are talking about is that...
Put a jet in the fridge. Yes.
It's a big fridge. It's a big fridge.
It's a very big fridge.
It's trying to solve global warming. It's that big of a fridge.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to start off with my pet peeve. What is up with the lightsabers?
All right, elaborate. That's a very broad statement, man. You got to give me more.
The sound effect is off. It's weird.
Oh, you mean in the Mando?
In Mando, yeah. Sound effect is off. The animation of them turning on and off, like, this is the easiest effect to do. Like, literally, I think we give away how to make a lightsaber for free on the website. Like, what's going on?
Well,
like, they have this amazing ship and everything happening, and they're doing these crazy landscape, and then the lightsaber is what you skimp on.
Maybe they ran out of budget. I don't know. They're like, hey, we gotta do it. The dark saber is supposed to be different, right?
No, I get that, but like, it doesn't turn on and come out of the handle. It like slides out.
Yeah.
Like, what? Who came up with that? It's awful. I'm sorry.
Well, we can probably look that up. Who's the visual effects person? John the Man.
I'm sure it's somebody at ILM, but it's not that they can't do it, clearly, because they've done a bazillion lightsabers.
No, they have made the decision.
Somebody told them, yeah, that's why it bothers me, because it's not sloppy effects work. Someone intentionally wanted it like that. And it's like, what? Because when he turns it on the first time, you're like, oh my goodness. It makes this like weird little noise, and it slides out of the handle. But it's a laser. It can't do that. It's just because there's so much attention to detail paid with everything else. And it's like very realistic and believable, and it doesn't break. And actually, the lightsabers are what break it for me.
Yeah, now the whole fight scene with the Beskar spear.
Yeah,
that was really cool, right? Like, I dug the battle sequence of that.
That was the only other thing that has bothered me. Really, I mean, I love the show. There's just a couple of things that is Shoka's outfit. Someone also ran out of budget.
Shoka's hair tentacles.
I know, Sean. It didn't look like a hair tentacle. It looked like a hat.
It looked like foam to me, like a foam hat.
Yeah, it looked. It was rough. It was rough.
That was a thing that I definitely felt like.
Yeah.
That did not look good. I was not happy with that.
Neck pillow. Yes, that's perfect. It does. It looks like Maybe that's what they're going for, is some swag. Like people can buy Ashoka neck pillows when you can fly on planes again. But it does. It looks like one that you would just wear around your neck.
Ahsoka neck pillows. Okay, so we for the record, we all love the Mandalorian. So we are picking, like, as visual effects people.
Yeah.
We're talking about this, right? Like,
yeah.
And again, I'm guessing there's a decision to be made that they wanted to, since she's moving around so much, maybe make it lighter. Because I believe.
Well, I mean, they clearly made the decision we're not going to do this in 3D.
Yeah, which honestly surprised me, just to be very frank. So that surprised me.
Yeah. And whoever does the costuming, for the most part, is like nailed it. Most of the costumes are fantastic. I don't know what happened with her. She was like super orange, and it was the makeup too job was throwing me. It was a little weird, and then the headdress thing, because it just flopped around like a pillow.
Yeah, it didn't have any like weight to it. It looked fluffy to me, right? Yeah. Yep. Like there was the scene where she's when he's leaving with the child, right? And as he takes off, it like blows, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think that body parts would move like.
No, you're right, Sean. I think she looks like her, as far as like the facial structure and everything.
Oh yeah, Rosario Dawson. Yeah, no, I thought they did a great cast on that. I really did.
They just sometime with the outfit, they threw it for me, and that it was weird because up to this point it's been like awesome, and that whole episode just threw me for some reason. Yeah. Like I think it was a different director or something, because it was super quiet the entire time. They didn't really have any background music going, and I don't know, it was really dull in the middle, and I thought they did a really cool job at the beginning where she's like fighting in the fog and stuff, and but then with the tentacles, and it just got really slow and weird. I don't know.
Her lightsabers were so white though, like a white lightsaber, right? So
well, she has white ones.
Mm-hmm. No, I know,
but they were too opaque. That was the other thing that bothered me about.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
Yeah,
and that's why they feel off.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because like in the design of the Darksaber is cool. It's just the sound it makes and how it comes out. It's just so silly. It's hard to take it seriously because it's like a Swiss Army knife he's popping out.
So, especially the scene where Gideon has the child, and he pulls the lights. It looks like a sword, like an actual like.
I know.
Like the angle on it, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, because like this is to me like especially because it was such a big reveal in the last season. Like, this should be at
the end of it, right?
This should be like your thing. Like when he pulls that out, it should be like, oh, that's awesome. But it's not. It's just like, what?
Well,
what is that?
Now,
yeah, that got me too, Sean. I did notice that. As soon as he ran off, I'm like, why? Grab your jetpack. I feel like that was a plot device out of convenience to make him run.
I agree.
Because otherwise he would have gotten there in time. They're like, well, how can this make sense? Well, he just forgets his jetpack. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess maybe in a moment of panic, the most trained bounty hunter assassin in the world panics and forgets to get the thing out of.
Sure, but then in other episodes, he can call the jetpack to him.
Yeah,
with his
like
bracer.
2 episodes prior.
I know. So it's like, really? He just ran off with it and then didn't think, I should just call this to me and I'll get there faster the entire time they're running up this hill.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
I know.
It's definitely one of those like frustrating things, for certain, because it's those little moment and plot holes that just, especially looking back, drive you crazy. But that one was so obvious in the moment. I was like during the episode, it wasn't like those episode things. It was like as
soon as he turned around and ran, I'm like, you forgot the jetpack.
Okay, so let's talk about the Stormtrooper aim issue, because I have an issue with this, right? I I have fully always believed that the stormtroopers intentionally let Luke and Leia get away, right? Like fully. The whole missing the side of a the side of a barn. It doesn't make any sense. How do you become a fearful galactic imperial force if your actual soldiers can't shoot and fight war, right?
Sure.
So this is the one issue I have with Favreau's Mandalorian universe is that stormtroopers aren't garbage. They shouldn't be garbage. It's illogical for them to be garbage, right?
Well, especially because at this point, the Empire has fallen. The only people still with it are believers. Well, supposedly, right? Like,
let's dive into that, shall we?
For marketing purposes.
All right.
But I mean, people that were kind of half in or were kidnapped as kids or whatever, like, you think a lot of those people would be out because this is the time. This is the time to get out if you want out. Shooting is the only thing they do. Yeah, very true. And what's interesting to me is why are all the stormtroopers the same? Because like in a typical military platoon, like you have different specialists doing things. And
they're all the same. So leaders always have the colored shoulder pad.
I know, but everybody has the same weapon. Doesn't make sense.
Well, you also have the speeder bikers, right?
But they're never in a mixed group. It's all speeder bikers or all the throw up flying guys.
This last episode of Mandalorian, right? They got the rocket. They're doing the rocket launcher. They got the Gatling gun, basically the laser.
Oh, true. They did the mortars. You are correct.
Yeah. So they have a variety of assets, right?
Yeah.
The mortar explosion was pathetic.
That is true. Like you're in space and you're still just using like mortars that you have to randomly aim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some things like that.
All right, so let's dive into some stuff about Star Wars people may not know. Who is the head of state for the Galactic Empire? What is their title? Does anyone know?
That's the Chancellor, right? I'm not like crazy into this. I'm guessing as an audience member.
The Galactic Emperor.
Just toss the names of their
Ray Palpatine's territory. And so the Galactic Emperor, the Imperial Emperor, the Sith Emperor, whatever term you want to have. So
okay.
Clearly we had one person, but in the history of over time, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Grant, good. So Blabagoo, buddy, you are on another next part of the question here, right? So that is not the head of state. The Vicer is the head of government. Okay, so he's kind of like your chief operations officer. But you are thinking correctly. Next, we have the commander-in-chief, which is the supreme commander. Okay, so those are your three like pillars of the Galactic Empire. What is the constitution of the Galactic Empire? Does anyone know that?
Yes, John Skull, The Mandalorian is great. Rise of Skywalker, you're gonna get very mixed reviews on. I give it a 2 meh.
out of 20. 2 out of 20.
Yeah, I give it a meh out of 20.
I love the Mando. I will say this: the Mandalorian it feels very different than Star Wars. The way the story is being told.
Yeah.
It's kind of this chapter by chapter, smaller scale focus on one character, right? So Star Wars traditionally is this larger, grandiose component of the movies. Now you have the Clone Wars show, which I think the Mandalorian is closer aligned to the Clone Wars and how it's done and delivered. There are large scale elements happening, but it's really about the individual characters, and it's on a smaller scale, more story driven by individual. The Mandalorian is even more so. It really is about the Mandalorian and the child.
Can we say his name?
So,
we know his name now.
We do know his name.
Do you want to spoil it?
Man, do we spoil the child's name? I mean, it doesn't really spoil it. Go ahead and tell him, Jeremy. It doesn't really ruin anything.
All right. If you haven't heard the child's name, leave right now.
Mute us. We'll put our hand back up when it's good to go.
Yeah. So Grogu, I know you have been warned. Well, to Does that give anything away? Like that we know his name is Grogu? Like, does that tie into anything? Because I don't actually know. Like, does that tie into stuff? Is he a thing? In some obscure
So
book
I
somewhere?
think it does tie into some stuff, but yeah, it's okay.
Well, let's hear your theory. I'm curious.
So, well, I literally finished the final episode tonight before we got on the stream. So I'm freshly coming off of the last episode. Okay.
Yeah. Where he goes like all dark. Yeah.
Sort of. He sort of goes dark. All right. So Grogu is a foundling. We found out he was a foundling. Okay. We know that he was at the Coruscant Temple.
Yep.
We know that he's 50 years old.
Yep.
Which means, and we know that he was trained at the Jedi Temple in Coruscant.
Can you imagine having a baby for 50 years?
I mean, if I lived to be 1,000 years old, then yes, I could.
I suppose. It's still a long time. Scheme of 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he escaped Order 66 somehow. Yep, he was hidden away.
So he was born in 41 BBY, right? So, which that's gonna be, he's gonna have been around when Anakin was around.
That is a lot of nappies, yeah.
I think the bigger question at what point did they become potty trained in that 50-year window span? I could have my kids for 50 years. I'd be fine with that. I love my kids.
Yeah, a 1 week old would that's a rough time.
Hey, what's up, Flippy? Yeah, Flippy. Is this your first? The Skype call. Yeah, so I suspect that we're gonna get maybe. Don't know this for certain. This is my guess. I think that we're gonna get maybe into Luke and Leia's kids again, because I believe that they are essentially Disney saying that the Mandalorian exists really in a separate timeline from the last 3 movies.
Oh, how so?
Rumor has is that Disney's going to basically peel them out of the canon into their own thing, and then do new canon again, like take the old canon and the expanded universe and make that more. Because Disney said the old canon's done. We're going with this new direction with Brian, I'm Awful Johnson, and Kathleen, I Ruin Things Kennedy.
Right.
And I believe the rumor has it that she's going to be out, and that Favreau is going to be the creative guy, and they may even bring Lucas back in.
So they're saying this is off of the first 3, or the
4, 5, and 6. Episode 4, 5, and 6.
This will be 4, 5, and 6, and then Clone Wars and Rebels.
Episode 1 through 6, Clone Wars, and Legends. So those are going to all be the actual canon.
All right, and then we're Mando, and then whatever comes next will be, I guess, off of Mando, right? Or Legends.
Yeah,
Legends after Mandalorian.
What's really cool? What's really cool? Well, I'm a little confused on the timeline right now on how they're trying to fit Mando into the timeline. I need to do a little more research on that, because there's gonna have to be some stuff they're ejecting for this timeline to work. If Boba Fett's still alive, which by the way, they introduced us to Boba Fett. They brought Boba Fett back.
Yeah.
Now Boba Fett in the original movies, he fell into the Sarlacc pit. All right. And the Sarlacc pit can keep you alive for 1,000 years. Blah 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 blah.
It was the same actor too, right?
Not as the original Boba Fett. It's the same actor as the Boba Fett. I think he did
in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he Empire Strikes Back Special Edition. He was for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, because you actually recognize him, which was cool.
Yeah, you do, and he's also yeah, so it's cool, and he fits the age of Boba Fett, right? Like he fits the how old Boba should be.
And I like that he's just crazy awesome.
Yeah,
this thing that it's like, I'll take care of this.
The other big reveal that we got this season is that basically we found out that the Mando is part essentially of a religious cult.
Right.
So his Mandalorian lore and what he believes is like fanatics.
Right, like with the helmet thing.
Yeah, and we got the Empress. We got the introduction of the Mandalore's Empress. She's gonna try to take back over.
Yeah.
I suspect that they finally mentioned my favorite character of all time, which is Grand Admiral Thrawn. I literally dropped a bad word. Like, what the? Like, I had a goosebumps. I'm such a nerd. My wife was like, because I literally we were just talking about it. Just talking about it right before this, okay? I was like, man, they need an Admiral Thrawn series. They got to bring Thrawn into this, you know. So
someone decoded the chain code Boba Fett. That doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
And they probably put it in there knowing someone would do that.
Yep. It's got a, you know, there's a real alphabet, right? Like you can actually, Star Wars has an alphabet.
What does it say, Big Glove?
Yeah. I'm gonna Google that right now.
So why is she looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn? Question.
Well, a couple thoughts here. Number one is Boba's tummy.
Yeah, we all get a little older and don't have time to work out as much.
I'm just gonna say for the record that I used to be in elite physical form with the 6-pack and the V, and you won't see that now. So, things happen. You pack it on as you get older. And I actually that's on purpose, right? Like he's bigger now, right? The armor didn't fit him correctly. Like that I guarantee that was they did that on purpose.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
I did too. I thought it was brilliant. He's still a bad. Yeah, man, he is. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the moment where the Mando comes out?
Took him to the year the Concord Dawn. Oh, mentor, father. Oh, okay. So it was actually just like your history. That's cool.
Yep. So, the point of that is when he showed him that is that Mando could read that, right? So he knew it verified who he was.
Yeah. It's like Star Wars blockchain.
Kind of. That's a pretty good impersonation. All right. So, if we look at the Imperial calendar, guys, and we talk about
Cal Kestis, I'm not a crazy Star Wars fan. I don't know all this stuff. So I'm here to learn as much as you.
There's a lot. The problem is kind of where do we want to hone this in on. So it depends on where they want to take this. So Thrawn comes in from the Thrawn's going to come in to add it for us if they really are bringing in Thrawn correctly. Thrawn has his own fleet, all right? So we have Captain Gilead Pelion, which I'm super excited about if we get to see him too. Essentially, Grand Admiral Thrawn, for those who don't know, is the first and highest ranking non-human in the history of the Empire. So essentially, the Empire is white supremacy, but for humans. Like it's human supremacy more. They look down on other alien races. So they kind of represent that like bad, evil.
I have a question there. What about Darth Maul?
So it's a fair point. There are races that have that are considered acceptable, right? And still, again, remember the Emperor doesn't care about humanity. It's all about power and control, right?
Sure.
So,
and apparently, creepy cult thing on the frozen planet, whatever.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you guys a little backstory. I'm using a lot of the Star Wars fandom. For those who are looking for references, if you want a chance to dive into the Star Wars universe, starwars.fandom.com is a great place. They've got, timelines and basically anything you can think of, you can dive into. It's just like Wikipedia, but for Star Wars. Okay. So I run a Star Wars campaign. I rely heavily on this to get some of those details fleshed in. But I'm gonna just kind of read a little bit about Thrawn's fleet. Grand Admiral Thrawn, okay? So after the Battle of Endor, the death of the Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, the Galactic Empire goes into chaos. Moffs, admirals, generals become warlords and carve their own territories and their splinter kingdoms, which is what we're seeing right now in Mando, right? You have these smaller factions of Imperials that are still holding control with Imperial tech, stormtroopers, and that's what Gideon is as well, right? I think Gideon may be a Sith. I'm not sure yet. So the Imperial War Machine is disabled and destroyed. All right. So in 8 ABY, which is kind of like BC and AD, the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn, one of the last Grand Admirals, returns from the adventures from the unknown regions. Okay, this is significant. We have the core worlds, but then we have the colonies, and then we have the Outer Rim. Okay, so this story, The Mandalorian, takes place in the Outer Rim. If we look at, actually, can you pull up the map of the galaxy? Yeah, this one, Jeremy, if you go to the galaxy on Wikipedia, here, I'll send a link for you. You guys got posted in the
like this thing.
That one works. It's not the one I normally like to use, but that's very similar. Does that show does it show core worlds, colonies, inner rim, expansion region? Do you see all that listed in there or no?
Oof, this is a huge.
Here we go. Yeah, this is it right here. Here we go. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, Outer Rim.
So,
yeah.
All right. So
unknown regions.
Coruscant, Tython, right? So we're going to Tython, which is where the Jedi Empire or the Jedi Temple is in the last episode of the Mando. That's in the deep core, right? So that's where the hub of the Galactic Empire sits. And again, think of this as circular in and out, right? So when we are talking about the core worlds, or the core, Corellian, Corellia, Both, we got Alderaan. You can just kind of zoom in here from it into the core. Corellia is where Han Solo's from. You've got Bilbringi is a core planet. It's got a major shipyard there. We talk about Alderaan, Balmora. These are all like planets that are in their abyss. So these are core planets, right? But as we move out, there's Mandalore up here in the top, Mandalorian space. You see it up there? It's carved out up there. You have it in the top section up there. It's going to be under O in the map if you have the map pulled up.
Yeah, right there.
Would Thrawn have his fleet? Hang on. But with that, what happened at the end of the Rebels? Would Thrawn have his fleet? Is that it? Well, see, that's what I'm not sure, Glob. I'm not sure where they're placing this yet. That's my question. So essentially, Grand Admiral Thrawn he was exploring the unknown region. So he's Thrawn, like I said, was the first non-human to be as high as he was in the order. Okay, now he comes from out here in the unknown regions. Rakata Prime. Scroll up a little bit. Yeah, there's Endor. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So this place right here, this is the greatest threat to the entire civilized galaxy coming. So if they get into this, if this is what they get into, if they go into this story arc, it's going to be insane. It's a lot of words. Is there
greatest
scroll
threat,
out some more though? So
in the unknown
there's
region?
there's this alien species that there's this huge war that happens. And again, I don't know what I don't know yet is what they're saying is canon or not. Sure. Scroll up for me and go all the way to the left. Up. There we go. That's where Thrawn's from.
Up here?
No, down. Chiss.
Oh, right here.
So, anyway, Thrawn essentially is this genius. He doesn't have force powers. He is just a tactical genius. He studies culture, right? So he learns. He studies the people's a race's culture, and then that's how he learns how to counter and fight against them, because he understands the culture. So if he finds out who the leader is of a commander, that he knows how to fight that commander because he knows how they've been trained. There's a lot of I'm talking about some big deep level stuff here. There are 6 books out on Thrawn right now. The Battle of Bringini, which is where Thrawn actually dies. So I don't know the timeline fit yet, Big. So I'm not sure. Do you know about Cal Kestis? It'd be neat if Cal shows up. I suspect that he will. But I don't know that, right? Like, it's about lightsabers. Going to the lightsaber conversation. I do think that we will see him definitively. Yes, again, the Emperor didn't care about human dominance. That wasn't his goal. But the Empire as a collective enslaved alien races as a general rule. Like Wookiees were enslaved, right? So in Spectrum Star Wars campaign starting. Flippy. Yeah, actually, I think our goal here at CD Spectrum is just to get every single student hired on to work on our own Star Wars project from Disney. That's our goal.
Yeah.
We're gonna start our own Star Wars project. I'm really interested to see who they cast as Thrawn. So I don't know how much we want to get into on Thrawn, because I don't know if we're actually going to be getting I suspect we won't get into Thrawn at all this season, clearly. I mean, we might at the very end. That might be the end of the season reveal. The bigger thing to me is the Jedi right now. We know the Jedi are kind of scattered to the wind.
Right.
And I suspect that the child being captured is going to have some serious Force ramifications. The other thing is they brought in Dark Troopers, which was awesome.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Well, that's what they're using the Force blood for. So what I'm not sure on the Dark Trooper side is that those look exclusively like androids, or combat droids, right?
Yeah, that's what they look like to me as well.
Yeah. So, but they ended up evolving later on. So, but they're definitely combat droids, and they're actually combat droids that are also Force sensitive. So yeah, we'll see what happens on that side. Sorry, I was wondering what that was. Cheer was the other day. I guess it was Ryan when he realized Thrawn. That was this afternoon, and yeah, buddy, it was loud.
Oh.
I was like, "Are you radio editing kidding me?" I was so pumped. Well, maybe we'll leave it quickly. I don't know yet. Yeah, I'm running a Star Wars D20 campaign, basically. Sean, that is correct. I am not aware of anyone else doing that. That is correct. I guess I wonder, who would you cast, right? Like, to play him.
Looking at some images. The guy they did the head scan of, yeah.
Oh man, sorry, the actor who played him in the game. I didn't actually look him up to see. Is he look the same way as the actor as the dude that actually is doing it?
Yeah, they probably just scanned his head and used him. Cameron Monaghan. Yeah, he kind of does look like him.
Yeah, he's young here though. Yeah, he's not that old. He's in his. Yeah, that could work. Yeah. By the way, if you get a chance, Fallen Order was a phenomenal game.
That'd be a good one for the fans, I think, too.
Well, they brought back the old Boba Fett, right? I mean, so why not?
I mean, they're clearly not spending money on lightsabers, so.
A little bitter, aren't we?
It's like the whole thing. Like, the whole reason you get into Star Wars as a kid is because of the lightsabers. No good.
Well, there was rumor that Thrawn was going to be in Rogue One, right? Yeah, dude, if you're a kid, my daughter saw it and she was still super lightsaber, so. I just like lightsabers kind of fall into like sacred law, like lore, or like they're like the core tenets of Star Wars.
I
Like
know
you
that's
don't
why
mess
it's
with, like.
so upsetting that they were bad.
I mean, how many times as a kid
Especially because they're
eh,
so easy too. It's not like it's a really difficult effect. Like I could see doing her hair in 3D, like that whole thing. That would have taken some time. A
yeah.
lot of tracking, a lot of effects work. Like I get why they went that route. Like although it could have been a little better. But the lightsabers really, it's like that's the easy part.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's okay. I mean, I just remember as a kid, just being like, I can even visualize as a child. You know, like you even like in your mind see it. You know,
Oh, I know.
like, I have a dog spazzing out. I apologize. I don't know what my dog's doing. Hope my wife will take care of it. If you all hear that, with a small spark that let me love Star Wars series again after the disappointment that was the cancellation of the Device Rules game, Star Wars game. Yeah, he did. They had to tell him to stop. That's exactly right. They did. By the way, that series is coming this year too, right?
Yeah.
But do they freeze it indefinitely? I heard they may have stopped filming indefinitely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Uh-oh. Let's see here. No, the Obi-Wan series isn't filming in Massachusetts. That is not going to help me. Series put on hold to alleged script problems. However, Ewan McGregor later said those rumors were exaggerations and the production continued as normal. According to April 2020 French tabloids, the series is scheduled to debut in 2022. Okay.
Okay. So just push a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, I mean, that's not that far away, actually. It's a year away, basically.
I mean, it makes sense the lightsabers can't cut the best car because that was the whole point, right? The Mandalorians could fight the Jedi.
No. So exactly, Beskar is the strongest material because the Mandalorians and the Jedi are like enemies. So, no, that was spot on the lore. That was not a problem at all.
The question just turtle. I have no idea.
I actually was just told 2 nights ago that they make a like earpiece. Turtle Beach.
There's so many good gaming headsets though.
The Turtle Beach Battle Buds, are $30 at Target, and I have heard amazing things about them. Especially if you game for long periods of time, they don't hurt your ears. Like these are heavy, very heavy. So you can get them from Best Buy, and get them at a couple places. So Turtle Beach Battle Buds. Beskar is like the ultimate element at this point. Yes, Beskar. And if you noticed when they gave him the one little block, it like melted out into this like, made a whole thing of armor.
Now he's got that spear. Something cool needs to happen with that spear.
Oh, that spear's gonna be used. Cool.
Yeah, but it better be awesome. I mean, he's gonna melt it down from where?
No.
He's gonna use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he should take down a ship with that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Sean, we were talking about how I have that's one of my big complaints is that you don't have a galactic empire because your soldiers are garbage shooters. It just makes no sense. It's irrational. So I find that
Captain is like, well, it's not even that. It's like the mid torso area. There's like just a huge gap between the chest plate and then the thigh plates.
They can't even like the whole part where they're taking over the ship, where the Mandalorians like on the ship. I'm like, no one like runs down like rows. Like that's just how you get shot. Like,
yeah,
take cover, you know. Turtle Beach headset. So I'm making sure I miss anything. Yes. So yes, Sean, Beskar is that powerful.
Yeah, and I get why he could take the minigun shots if it hits the hits him in the chest or something. But how are they not even nicking anywhere else?
Yeah.
And then the other question is, do those shots have any sort of kinetic force behind them, right? Because it'd be like if you shoot someone with a vest on, right? It doesn't pierce the vest, but it'll still knock you over and break your ribs and.
Yeah, Cobb, again, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know. I just, it's a pet peeve of mine. Like, they obviously have made stormtroopers, they have gone the route of kind of the fun, right? Like, making fun of stormtroopers. That is,
and they were kind of silly when they were storming them in the last episode, like trying to storm the rock. They were all like, that's not the way a military platoon would act. It was just very much like, come on, guys,
go,
let's go.
Flank them. There's got too much firepower. Just flank them.
Yeah, you all got shot. We'll just keep going.
Yeah, I found that extremely annoying. So I know that Jon Favreau is watching this right now, clearly. So John, fix that. No. But yeah, no, overall though, it's great. I enjoyed the exchange when they were capturing the ship of the guy saying that he put them in, that they're being held in the control, the cargo bay control, and he's like, they're where?
Yeah.
Boom. I mean, they couldn't make them shoot straight at this point. It's kind of canon.
That's true.
Right. Thank you, Big Glob. Exactly correct. Which is why they let the whole entire bad idea, like the stormtroopers not shooting well, it was all planned by the Emperor in order for them to escape. That was the whole point, right? Like, they let them escape. Stormtroopers are precise. They are elite soldiers. It's so frustrating.
I mean, I guess you could say at least they're actually hitting them. Because in the original ones, they never even hit them.
Yeah, but exactly.
And they're running around with no armor. At least Mandalorian, they do actually hit him.
They act dumb. I don't like the incompetency. I just like the incompetency. It's just not realistic. No. I mean, you think that Mexican drug cartels can't shoot people? No, they do. That's why they're having control of warlords of these regions. It's like, it's just you people aren't afraid of things that can't do anything. It's like Star Trek red shirts. Kind of. Yeah, it's true. That's true, Flippy. So all that to say is, if we get Thrawn into this, Thrawn's the only Grand Admiral left. They missed, like Luke and Han missed. They thought they accounted for all the Grand Admirals, and they did not for Thrawn. So going back to the Thrawn situation, Thrawn like MS-13 gangs in space. Hey, MS-13 people are terrifying, man. So I'm just gonna say that. I don't want to get on stream talking about Mexican cartels and Central American warlords and gangs, but yeah, they are not a group of people you want to be messing around with. Really, the Mandalorians are more like MS-13 if we're gonna be fair. But just pivot to Ghost Recon. Exactly, Sean. Exactly. All right, so Thrawn was sent on an exploration mission to the unknown regions right before Endor. So when the Battle of Endor happened and the Imperial fleet, the core Imperial fleet was destroyed, Thrawn was not. And only did Thrawn not, he actually created a new hub of the Empire in the unknown regions. So, let's see here. Yeah, so Grand Admirals were right under Grand Visors, Executor, and Supreme Commander. So they were right up there. They're super powerful. Thrawn actually worked with Darth Vader at the time he was Anakin Skywalker on some missions. If you get a chance to read some of the book series, they're great reads. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, they're good reads. So going back, that is an area that I definitely think. Hey Ben, thanks for the follow, buddy. I didn't see that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, so Thrawn is if this is sitting where I think the story arc is sitting, it's kind of sitting in between the last three movies in Star Wars canon and after the Return of the Jedi. So I'm kind of hoping that they don't actually have the death of Thrawn, that they don't get to that point, but
be sad.
Why don't you pull up a picture of Admiral Thrawn for everybody?
Gonna go on. That's probably the best one.
Do we no longer have our notifications when someone follows us?
It pops up, but because there is on so many different services, we don't.
There we go.
Yeah, I know, right, John? Just need to find like all those other random ships that are just sitting there for some reason.
Oh, in the last movies, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for some reason can't take off without a tower. It's always you never take off without a single weak point because they would never learn from any of the previous mistakes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they can't train stormtroopers to shoot, so you know.
That's true.
You know, there are organizations that succeed based on sheer size and luck. So maybe that's the Galactic Empire.
He just can't find good help.
So yeah, so
but
Thrawn is
you know where they are succeeding. Whoever the logistics team is for the Empire, like rock solid.
Sustaining all those troops.
Where on Earth are they getting the resources to make all these ships?
So you know what is an interesting point that no one ever talks about in Star Wars canon is at the start of the movies, what does it say at the start of the Star Wars movies?
Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
So Earth technically exists in the same galaxy as Star Wars.
And where? Where does it say that?
Well, just think about it. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, I mean, Earth exists in the same universe. Sure.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
There are some people that think that Coruscant is Earth in the future because it has two polar ice caps, but it's not.
Well, then it gets blown
Best
up,
financial
right?
manager of the Empire.
I know. Like whoever. What's up, Rizwa?
What's up, Rizwan Nation?
Rizwan Nation and Rizwan Nation.
Yeah.
How's it going? I know. So like, the troops might be horrible. But whoever is running their procurement team, like, that's the really elite force.
Which, to actually be fair, to make an empire this size work, you would have to have phenomenal logistics.
But you would. I don't
maybe
know why.
Maybe that's why they're successful.
I don't know why I think about that when I'm watching it, but
is that the thought? Most people watch and enjoy the movie or the visual effects. Jeremy's like, wow, the logistics team on these Empire guys is on point.
I know. I'm like, how do they find fuel for all these ships?
They use reactors.
Well, right, but like in Rogue One, they're sitting there mining that mineral from the planet, right? Like they're getting the people on the planet mine it. But think of how many ships there are, which means they're all doing that everywhere all the time.
What is the ecological fallout effect of all these ships dumping fuel into space?
I know. I have to think about that. Movie magic.
Actually, I think there's actually an answer to that. I remember reading this.
Well, no, they have. Well, it wasn't space fuel because they were using that kind of mineral or whatever. But like, if you think of the amount of fuel that it would take to power those reactors.
So ships run on nuclear fusion and coaxium.
Yeah. Insurance.
So liquid metal, basically.
Insurance rates.
So hyperdrives are powered by coaxium, which is a form of hypermatter.
All right. And then how do they feed all those people?
That's the more impressive thing.
That's a lot of food.
I mean, Star Trek just makes it simple. We have a replicator.
Right. Well, I know. Well, they just got around it. Like, we don't just stop for supplies and stuff. We just make them out of nothing. But they don't have that here. Like, that's a lot of people to feed.
Nice, Riz. What do you do animations on? Gaming, film, 2D, 3D? What's your animation background? So the problem is that Jedis don't have kids.
Yeah,
right?
There's that.
Let's talk about
the newly discovered Jedi children. Yep. Do the stormtrooper outfits come with catheters in them? Like they're all just standing around in formation for hours and hours.
They have a liquid rehydration cycling built in.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, the armor has to be good for something because it's not for design purposes, or clearly for armor, because every blaster ever invented goes right through it.
So, yeah,
They're so hungry they can't shoot straight.
So they actually have, in all honesty, because we actually have stormtrooper outfits, the actual COD can get removed.
Well, sure.
It's the same thing. They just detach and go, man. I don't know.
That would be a great excuse. That's why they're so weak. They're marching all the time, never getting any snacks.
It's gotta be hot in there too, right? Is that air conditioned too? I don't know.
Well, I know. Well, it's black, and then you have the like sealing plastic around you.
Any tips on how to retain, keep ownership of the type of IP for movies, TV, or shows that I could create?
Raise the money yourself.
Raise the money yourself. That's it.
Yeah, no, a lawyer will help you. You have to have the money yourself.
As a person who has created IP, who has licensed IP, who owns IP, and who has had IP bought, I can tell you that the only way to do it is to find a desperate partner who thinks that your product is by hands down the most impressive thing they've ever seen. And the last thing I can think of like that was this little thing called Star Wars in the 1970s.
Yeah. And somebody that has just so much money, they don't care.
Yeah. Now there are some game publishers that may let you keep the IP, some mid-tier game publishers. But I actually had a conversation today with a group that is wanting to do a game, and they have interest in doing an animated series. They're getting interested in the animated series, but they're running into a problem is that they've had interest from Netflix and Amazon and even Disney Plus, and all three of them want to own the IP. And they're like, we're wanting to do a game. And their response is, that's great. You could do a game for us. Yep. So,
yeah, they want the IP and they want the creative control. Yep. And so I've heard Netflix is pretty good about giving freedom, but they're still gonna take it.
I think that they have had they've been burned, and they kind of went this big spending spree.
Yeah.
And things didn't work out well. So I think that they're locking down that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially if you don't have previous experience.
Yep. Yeah, I have some friends pitching to them, and they were going to fund it, but they wanted full creative control over the project.
Yep. Oh yeah, when you tell me that. And Netflix probably is the best people for creative control over their projects. So.
Scorpion dude from G.I. Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, so Drawn Skull, you just raise the money yourself. That's really the only answer. So what you're really talking about is a publishing deal versus a distribution deal. And if you go to Netflix with a created series and the series is done, and you're looking for a distribution opportunity, that's different than having them fund the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely talking about funding the product. If they fund the product, you will not keep the rights to it.
Even in some distribution deals, they may ask for the IP ownership. Yeah. So yeah, that's a tough pill for us creators to swallow. I have run into that with groups I've worked with, or even creative control. There's so many factors. So my advice to you is get your first project done. If you had Netflix on the hook and they want to do a deal and they're going to own it, and you've never done anything, get your first project done. Just do the deal.
Yep.
You can get back end points. You can work things in so that you benefit from it. But the reality is, I have personally known people that have products that are ready to get funded, that they don't want to leave creative control up, or they don't want to have to get the IP ownership, and they are sitting now a decade later waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. It just won't. I mean, because if you think about it too, like you've come up with the idea, but if they're going to take the risk of funding the project, especially if you're new, you have no background in execution. And honestly, that's the hard part. Like coming up with an idea, even writing a script is, I mean, it's tricky, but that's not the hard part of getting a movie made.
The reality is there are literally single digit to low tens, 10 to 25 people in the world that are so creatively amazing that they can do that, right? Like the reality is, I don't care how good you are, your script is not going to be exponentially better than another script that I can't buy the rights to. There's just, especially for first out of the gates, it's just not. I have never heard of a situation where someone has been so blown away by a script that they do that. I'm sure there probably is one out there somewhere, but for a first-time situation, just get it done. Just get your first stuff done. Build that career up, right?
Well, and if it happened without a lot of networking as well, like I'm sure that's happened, but it was like a friend of a friend, or I knew this guy and he went right to the actor who read it, who took it to their agent, something like that. Like that is a little more plausible, but someone just pitching it off the street, extremely rare.
Probably know what you want to hear, but it's like investing in creating your own business, for example. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's what I did. I literally invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into making my own business. I mean, and I took a lot of risk in doing that. That's just, which is why people that put the money in usually have creative control or ownership.
Yep.
Because you didn't take a risk writing something, right?
Yep. Yeah, you took, time, of course.
Yeah.
But you weren't risking your, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Listen, as a person who has been on both sides of this equation, I understand both sides fully, right? Like, as a creator, heck no, I don't want you to have my stuff. This is my thing. Because when you build something or create something, you're very passionate about it usually, right? It's your baby. But as a person who's taking the financial risk, the organizational risk, it's a big risk. That's where the stress really comes into play.
Well, and people talk bad about producers and stuff a lot of times, like they ruined it and that sort of thing. But there's a lot more things that were created where the production staff saved it. Like they knew what would sell, and they knew what was being created, even if it might have been better to stick with the artistic integrity as far as the story and stuff. They just knew it wouldn't go anywhere and no one would watch it. And if you create the most amazing thing ever but no one wants to watch it, that's not a business, right? It's just a passion project. So but them as a business, so a lot of times they want that control to make sure that they know it, they can sell, and that they're going to recoup the investment.
Yeah, and the other thing too is a lot of times these studios either have Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Or they have their own investment guys that they have to answer to, right? And so, So would you say to get my first project done, save money? Yeah, absolutely. I would argue it might take a couple projects to get to the point where you have enough money to do your own project. But distribution deals, I had a meeting with a team today that was pitching me for publishing a product, and they're looking for a distribution deal. They're not looking for funding. They're looking just to get on platforms, right? And they had a conversation with a group on Friday that still wanted a 70-30 split in the favor of the publisher, with no marketing support. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. They're like, yeah, that's what we thought.
That's ridiculous.
Most pub deals are 40 to 50% range. If it's a distribution deal, it's a 40 to 50% range. Maybe if you got a killer product, it could be as low as 30%, right? You can find ways to have that work. But if you're needing them to bring money to the table or to fully fund the development, good luck. You're
Well, yeah. Well, if they're funding the development, they're taking the table with them.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a chance, if you had someone on the hook, if Amazon came in and said, "Hey, Drawn Skull, we want to produce your cool project. We want to cut 10 episodes," right? They're gonna want to own that IP. And if you can push back, and they're going to tell you, we're putting X number of dollars into this IP, we're going to own the IP. And you can say no, and they will let you walk because they will find someone else to fund.
Yeah.
That will let them have that.
Yeah, the only times there's really leverage, I think, is like if you do the festival circuit or something like that, you can create a bidding war. Like you have something that's just really awesome and winning lots of awards. In that case, it's already funded, right? So sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like,
filming it already, you're looking for a distribution deal.
Well, a lot of times they'll come in and be like, all right, we're going to put this much in it. We're going to remix the sound for you. We're going to redo, the ADR, do a cleanup pass on everything. So sometimes they'll fund that and let you keep the IP and still distribute it. But again, that's because you already have something, a product that's there and it's already proven to be successful.
Speaking of Star Wars, Lucas basically put in a bunch of money on the rights thing here. In 1973, Lucas made a multi-billion-dollar decision. Lucas was a very rich man, in fact. Okay, blah blah blah. As a director, George's resume is actually pretty thin when he pitched Star Wars. He directed only 6 feature films in his entire career. 4 of them were Star Wars. So before Star Wars, he had directed 2 feature films. Let's see here. He made his directorial debut in THX 1138, and then American Graffiti. It made a bunch of money off a low budget. So when he had the idea for the space western, which Star Wars is essentially a space western opera, that's really what it is, right? He basically took the mythos of the worlds, and which is why Star Wars is so appealing. He literally took core religious philosophy from 4 major religions in the world and intertwined them into Star Wars, right? So there's connectivity, there's a relatable connectivity and believability to the mythos of Star Wars for almost everyone on the globe. Let's see here. All right. Thanks to American Graffiti's success, Lucas was entitled to a salary of $500,000 for directing what is now simply called Star Wars. Instead of accepting the nearly 300% pay raise, George approached the Fox executives with a proposition. George generously offered to keep his salary at $150,000 and request for 2 things. 1, that he retained all merchandising rights, and 2, that he would retain the rights to any sequels. And they said yes.
Which means they thought this might do okay, but it's not going to be that big.
That's exactly right. No, in fact, before it launched, they thought it was going to flop, and the studio almost did nothing to support it. In fact, Star Wars' first run, it did flop, and as it was about to go to the theaters, it had this huge up spike, and then it just took off.
There's some luck involved with all of this too.
Now, I don't know what the actual exchange rate is. Let's see here. So in 1973, he offered basically $350,000. So he basically bought the rights for $2 million, is what he essentially did. Of today's currency.
That worked out okay for him.
I think, yeah. So, again, ways to negotiate, and at the time, Fox was actually kind of cash strapped. They weren't rolling in the dough at that point.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's like a little bit of luck in all of this type of thing. A lot of things came together for that to happen. Like, gosh, Fox was cash strapped, and then they thought it was good enough to give him money to make, but not good enough to fight to keep the rights for additional ones. So they were thinking it was probably just going to be a one-off outing. Merchandising isn't going to go anywhere, so then they were willing to make this deal.
Well, and at the time, merch wasn't it wasn't like it was today. In fact, Star Wars changed the merch equation, honestly. Yeah, I don't.
And then Disney Star Wars changed it again. Because now it's everywhere.
Hey, have you seen my new medicine bottle? It's got a Star Wars figure on it. I bought these cool scissors. They have Star Wars on them.
Yeah.
My guitar thing has it literally is everywhere. It's insanity. So going back to Star Wars, I think that's a good example. A Star Wars flamethrower. I'd buy a Star Wars flamethrower. Why not?
Why not, indeed.
I mean, wow.
Especially if it looked like the stormtrooper weapon, like the backpack.
I gotta say, I have to say, not to get political, but like, people are afraid of mass gun shootings. I would be terrified if a bunch of people just roll around with like flamethrowers all over them. Like, mass selling of flamethrowers cannot be a good idea. That has to be an awful idea. I wrote two. Sorry, go ahead.
What's the name of his company? Elon Musk company.
Musk.
They made those flamethrowers. Yeah.
Yeah,
the good company,
the stupid, or
something like that. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Dumb human. It's something simple. I wrote 2 movie scripts by myself that I hope I can have made after I finish my years in college in CG Spectrum. Okay, so a couple thoughts. Number 1 is, have you had an editor go through them? A professional edit. I'd pay for a screenwrite edit. You can get it on Fiverr for pretty cheap. There's some pretty good talented people on there as well that have actually done scripts. They can clean up or at least edit it. I don't know how good of a writer you are. Most people that write a first-time screenplay don't do as good of a job as they think they do. There's actually a book out by the woman that did the pitch package financing for Blair Witch Project. So if you're into horror and you want to know how to put that financial package together, I would pick that book up. Yeah.
Give it a
so
read.
horror has this built-in model. If you can make a horror movie for $1 to $3 million, you can recoup at least $10 million to $100 million in that range on any horror movie that's shot in decent quality. So when you write a screenplay, especially your first one, you want it to think about locations. You want to think about the budget costs as you write this. So I have a screenplay right now that we're actually running some of the circuit on, getting some interest in. And it's a thriller horror screenplay. And it literally takes place 85% around a casino table. Right? People love that. They're loving that because when they see that, they're like, oh, character driven, cheap location suit.
Yep. The Room.
Yeah. So,
and these days of virtual production, it could literally be a room, and the rest of the casino is on the wall.
Well, actually, one of the groups I had a conversation with last week was they could literally rent the hotel rooms at the casino, rent a room at the casino, and film all of it in like 14 days.
Yep.
So,
I'll see if I can find the book while Ryan's talking about that. And Rizwa, we don't actually control this YouTube channel. We cannot subscribe to you. I'm sorry. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, that is not our ability to do. Yeah, well, John, I'm not amazing. I'm not someone that's, this amazing writer. I'm not someone that is like world class on this area, but I understand the business senses of the industry, and that has gotten me a lot further than other people, right? I had a buddy of mine a few years ago who wrote a really good screenplay. It was really good. The problem is that all the locations that he built into this were driving it to a price point that he wasn't thinking about, and no one would touch it because he put it in like 14 countries around the world, and it's not an established franchise. The scope of what he was looking for, it just didn't work. So he wrote a really good screenplay that's never going to ever get made, unless he has lots of money and does to do himself someday. And again, there's always exceptions to the rules. So, but I'm just giving you personal examples that I have experienced, or people that I have known that have experienced. Jeremy, do you have anything similar or anything in that vein?
Sorry, I was looking the book up. What were you asking?
Just about like how to make sure you're writing things that can actually be created.
Oh, Well, it just depends on what you're doing, I think, because like for horror, yes, like you need to know what you're creating, right? Or the genre you're creating and how people make money off of that. So because sometimes if you're writing like a big sci-fi thing and you want a lot of budget, like sometimes you really need to go out there. But yeah, for horror specifically, because it's like its own thing, honestly, you need to know that creating something really affordable will really make it. And then the other thing, like, as I do more animation stuff, so you need to know that the budget that you think you can get based off of the viewership you think you can get, you can create the quality that you're going to want to do it justice, I think, as a creator. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. Like, if you can't make your movie for 1 million and you're like, yeah, I can get it done for that, it'll just look awful. So just be cognizant of that side of it.
Especially animated, right? Like,
yeah,
if this is $80 million, to a conversation Jeremy and I were having a couple days or weeks ago, if it's an $80 million budget, you can't do it on a $30 million budget. It's gonna look like trash, right? Like, you're just not. It's not doable.
Yep. Yeah, Bloodhounds is a good example.
Yes, which partners with Universal on a ton of things too, right? Well, like The Purge. The Purge actually was not a big budget, right?
Yeah.
What was The Purge's budget?
I cannot find this book off the top of my head.
So The Purge's budget was $3 million, and it made $89 million in the box office, right? So like, there's a scenario. Paranormal Activity. Yeah, Paranormal Activity though it is an outliner, right? Like that is like the Blair Witch. Those are not. I think was it $50,000 for the Paranormal Activity budget? $15,000, right? They just did a bunch of cameras and cuts. Blair Witch was $200,000. Insidious was $1.5 million. Like, understanding how to write cheap.
Yep.
Realistically, what you're really hoping to do is you're hoping, in all honesty, if your movie can do 3 to 4 times the budget, it's a success.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
well,
so
four for sure, 3 usually.
Yeah. Anything less than 2.5 is probably a failure because you add marketing costs and production costs. You're not making money at that point.
Well, and by the time you get down to the waterfall where you're getting any of that, yeah, it's so minimal.
Even if your movie blows up, you may not get paid for a year or more.
Well, I think that's why people are like, Netflix is so lucrative, right? Because they pay out like 90 days after a release. It's quite quick.
No, correct. It's also why it may make more sense to do a Netflix deal, even if you think you can maybe make more money. I mean, right now theaters aren't really an option at this point, but you know.
Well, traditionally, I think you can make more money. It's just a risk and a lot more work.
Yeah, no, especially for your first product, though. Get that cash, right? I mean, build your next one. I mean, you know, and having success. Here's the other thing, too, right? If you write a successful film that makes money, I don't care if it made $1 million or $10 million. If you made money, like a decent profit, you can then go and get financing for another project way easier at that point.
Yeah.
Because you have a track record of success.
And then you're talking about like when you're doing it yourself too, that you're looking at international markets and then someone to, an international film agent to go out and sell it for you. And then,
in fact, most people fund their films through
the international rights.
Deal. Yeah, rights market. Yep.
And they take the money up front for, however many cents on the dollar. But then you get into like the formulas that they have for international sales, which is very dependent on what actor is in it. They have like just a sheet on which actors are worth the most. I think you mentioned you are related to The Rock. So like if you get somebody like that in your film, like that can really change the equation too. Even if it's just a cameo role.
Even if if he said if he put $50,000 down as the executive producer, you will find the funding you need.
Yeah.
So if you're related to The Rock, man, that's right. Go take advantage of that, man.
Yeah, like those kinds of things. That's how people get the stuff off the ground, really.
Or in all honesty, send him your script and see what he says. If he says it's trash, if it's good, he'll probably invest in it. I mean,
Yep.
he has the money to do it, and he has a production company.
And if it's an action horror movie,
I don't know if he does horror much.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely more action oriented, but
I mean, he has the worst scene of all time in the special effects. It's kind of horrific.
yeah, that's true.
The Scorpion.
It is my worst nightmare to have to watch that again.
It's probably the Rock's worst nightmare too. He probably sees that, he's like, what?
I know. It's like Scorpion scene and then Mandalorian lightsabers. just right there.
Okay, so let's be very clear. The Mandalorian lightsabers are nowhere near as bad as the Scorpion scene.
They just get me.
All right, just making sure we clarify this. Like, they're bad in my opinion as well. What makes them bad is it's a strategic decision to make them that way. That's the egregious part of it.
I know. Like the Scorpion King is because it was rushed. It was a last minute thing. Nobody had in time. Like, yeah, I bet the artists on it were just it hurt their heart to put that in the movie.
They're like, can you remove my name from the credits, please?
Yeah, but somebody intentionally made those lightsabers.
Yeah.
I know.
Who
I'm sure the
knows?
production staff is watching this, so please fix the lightsabers. Just please.
Yeah, Sean, that's correct, but it's still, even for that time, it's bad.
Yeah, it was bad even for that time.
Like, I mean, the industry. I'm not sure that it. I mean, yeah, if you hire two guys on the street to do something that never touched the software before, maybe. I mean, it's. Can you just pull up a screenshot of it? It's bad, dude. And the screenshot doesn't do the same as watching it in film. It's so bad. Birdemic. I don't get the reference for Birdemic.
Birdemic? Is that a bird epidemic?
I don't know this reference. I suddenly feel very stupid.
Yeah.
Is this like?
That's awful.
Oh, this is like a Sci-Fi Channel movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but this is a major budget film, right? Like,
well, it's not.
Birdemic...
It's a major. This is a. Are you talking about Birdemic or?
No, Scorpion King 3 is a big franchise.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Birdemic is a Vietnamese. Wow. An independent romantic horror film.
This was just rushed. I mean, especially at that time, creating a realistic character that animated well took a lot of work, and they just didn't have the time.
It still takes work.
Yeah, I mean, it still takes a lot of work.
The tools are better.
Yeah, but then yeah, it was. Oof, yeah, it's terrible.
Even this, like, my heart just feels sad looking at it.
I know. The stream has stopped. Oh, yeah. Mourn. Poor people that had to work on this.
Playing the violin there.
Oh no.
F in the chat. So let's look at some good special effects. Why don't we pull up some of the Mando, the when they had the whole lightsaber Beskar battle. That was good special effects minus the lightsaber.
Well, that was the effect. What else are you talking about?
Well, then half the terrain is generated. I don't think that's a real set. I think a lot is green screened. They did my cousin wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and a good image.
So John Skull, do you actually have the ability to get in touch with him? Because if you do, you should send him your scripts, man. After you have an editor go through them.
Yeah, I should definitely be as polished up as they can be.
Yeah, I had one of my friends' brothers pitched me a game.
Nice.
And I was like,
Yeah, like the lightsabers they're too opaque for sure.
yeah, I agree with you.
I want to
Yes,
see through them a little bit.
The Abyss is one of my favorite movies. I love The Abyss, dude. Love The Abyss. They had, because it was like you had, there's a whole kind of collection of, it came from below, The Abyss. That was James Cameron, right? Like, James Cameron was kind of known for decent quality visual effects back then. I actually think that Troy, one of our mentors at CG Spectrum, Troy Dunaway, actually worked for Cameron on the Terminator movies back in the early 90s in post-production. Instagram is the only way for right now. I still talk about it. Love. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I don't know what we're talking about with the rock. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think he's saying he can only connect with him through Instagram.
Oh, sure. So you're saying the background in the Instagram in this battle, you think it was all virtual production? Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
That'd be a pretty big set to create. Given the budget on her costume,
well, I think the whole series has $100 million budget, which is roughly $1 million or $10 million per episode, I guess.
Like,
right?
You can see the cloth.
Yeah, it looks so bad. It looks so bad.
I know. That's so bad.
It looks like foam. Like they put soft foam in it or something, you know?
Yeah, I know. I know if they had a little brighter, like the core was a little more opaque, there's a little bit of translucency from here. And then to me, the sound effects were off. And I don't know if they're trying to signal something by doing that, but I don't know.
I wonder too, actually. Look up the Darksaber one with that scene with the child, Gragu, because that looked to me just egregious.
Yep. Oh my goodness, I can't even. It's just painful to look at it small. Oh, it's terrible.
That's worse to me.
It is. Well, and when you watch them turn it on, it like slides out because it's wider than the hilt is. So they have to come up with some interesting way for it to work. And it looks like it just slides out. It's awful.
It's that one was so worse. It was so bad.
I know. And then why is it still white too? Like, and it's so like the white is very bright, you know? I could see it. You'd think it's so hot that it has a little white edging or something. But why is it that way? I don't.
I think I can look, but I feel like the saber looked different in the last is it that way in the Clone Wars? Well, I'd explain why they did it that way, but that
it has kind of a similar design, but I feel like the white is a little bit much.
Yeah, I think so too. I was thinking about the scene where he gets out of the TIE fighter, the crashed TIE fighter.
Well, see, like here's a lightsaber from films.
That's the dumbest design of all time.
I'm not talking about the design though. I'm talking about the actual saber itself.
Yeah, no, it looks good. That works, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, sure. The hill. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why you would have that? I agree. That is a stupid design.
I also
And
like that
then
they
here
brought.
is from the original movies. See, the core is brighter, and then you have some fall off from here to here. And then we go back here, like it just looks like a tube.
No argument here, buddy.
I know. I'm just
Same
making my
page.
case. I'm making my case.
I'm
So,
sold. I'm right there with you.
To all of our viewers. Quick pipeline. Does lighting artist reference the animation into a new scene? Yes. It very much depends on what you're using. What software you're using for light. But yes.
The old render farms. Threadrippers. I still think the worst visual effect of the entire season was her hair.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, because it wasn't a visual effect. It's just costuming.
It's actually not visual effect. It's
special effect. It's not even really special effect. It's just costume. Yeah.
It looks awful. It's so bad.
The worst visual effect is the lightsabers. The worst costuming is definitely that hair thing.
Well, good luck, Drawn. Hey, buddy. I have to tell you. I mean, if you got a relationship with The Rock, and he knows you, you have a chance to probably get something done. The other thing that if I were you, that I would do is I would ask to intern. I'd ask to learn.
Yeah.
As if it was me, instead of coming in with this script and pitching the script, what I would do is I would ask to be on a production. I would ask to be in the writer's room.
Here we go. Same shot. Film lightsabers.
Perfect. Yeah, awful.
Oh, lightsabers.
Good. Great.
But yeah, see, they're thinner. They're thinner. Have a little fall off at the edge. Little mist from the laser. Tubes. That's all I'm saying. All right. I'll stop talking about lightsabers now. Clearly bothered me a little bit.
What?
I know. No one would ever guess. I know.
What do you mean? No, yeah. Well, what do you mean? As my grandpa used to say. He'd always call me Brian.
Yeah.
Old Slavic guy from Serbia.
We have to jump up. Yeah, I know. You need a lightsaber effect?
It's okay. It's Andrew Kramer here. Yeah, John, seriously, but that's what I would do. I mean, look, The Rock is one of the top 5 entertainment people in the world right now. The world. If he is your family, I'm always more receptive when someone comes to me asking to learn than telling me what I should be doing or making.
Oh, for sure. Well, and especially if you're asking for money.
Yeah. Prove that you understand. Work for him. Work with him. Way more likely to learn something. And B, you'll be able to make a better script and refine your script in a way that makes more sense for production. Because I guarantee you, Drawn, it does not work. There's almost it doesn't work, but there will be key elements that don't work for production that if you understood better, you could retool the project correctly.
Yep. Well, plus the working on any project with him, the networking opportunities there would be astronomical.
Does it really, Stu? Or are you just saying that? Because I'm trying to think if he ever loses. Kind of lost in one of the his initial what's the Paul Walker series, Fast and Furious.
Well, that was more of a draw, right? Because technically Vin Diesel couldn't lose either.
They hate each other.
Oh, in real life?
They have had multiple issues.
No, interesting. Well, one of them is making awesome movies. and the other one made Bloodshot.
Hey, for the record, I actually kind of liked Bloodshot.
I mean, I watched it. It was, and I really wanted to like it. I really did.
I had a low expectation for it.
Yeah. Like when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Like I like those kind of movies. They're just a little cheesy, like with some cool premise, and you know, I can go in for that. I just yeah.
I will say that
Like I like the old guard better for a similar kind of thing, you know.
Pitch Black, now that was a good movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nobody would argue that. I actually like the second one, honestly.
Oh, the
like super over the top, crazy costumes and ships and stuff.
I keep thinking of Butcher Bay. That's not right. That was the video game.
Yeah, that whole series. The third one, Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah.
I really like that. This one was kind of campy ones. It was fun.
It hit all the right marks, right? I didn't see the last one.
They tried to go back. I think the budget just got cut. Like they couldn't do a Chronicles of Riddick scope in the film anymore, so they went more with the Pitch Black thing. But it was just too long, and yeah, it was a bit over the top.
Yeah, it made Riddick. That's why they made Riddick.
Yeah, just Riddick. Yeah.
That one actually, no, it was the second one that did poorly. Riddick did well. The second one had too much budget and didn't make the money.
Yeah. So they didn't give them the budget on the third one, but they went back. Yeah.
Well, but he made money on the third one, right? So it was $38 million budget, and they did $100 million. So it probably actually, in all honesty, broke even.
Yeah, I heard they're making a Bloodshot too. I'm surprised that must have made enough to warrant that.
Well, remember, it's not just about box office anymore, right? So it grossed $37 million. So its budget was $45 million. It grossed $37 million worldwide, and then its run ended early in theaters, and it went to on demand, where it probably did really well because it was right during quarantine.
Yeah, it was one of the only ones at the time. I remember looking.
I remember.
I don't have anything to watch. Let's just watch Bloodshot. So.
And Valiant Comics is doing the shared universe, right? So like they have Shadow Man coming and a couple other things too.
Yeah. And it's yet to be seen whether this HBO Max thing is a good idea. But I'm certainly going to enjoy it for this year.
It's not about box office. Okay, so the answer is yes and no. We don't really know what the box office is going to look like in the future, to be very frank. Traditionally, you had like 7 windows for distribution. So you had box office, you had DVD or VHS, you had like at home release. You had cable TV, you had regular TV, syndicate, and you had like streaming services, and so the streaming services in the last 3 years have gone from being or digital release to now, I mean, really becoming on par with theatrical runs. The syndicate windows, they also have international windows too, by the way, in these things too, international markets. But yeah, the box office still matters. Obviously, if you have a successful box office, that will almost guarantee more success in other windows, in the revenue windows. But I don't really know. I don't know, Jeremy. What's your thought right now where we're at? I mean, box office is not an option right now. In the next 6 months, it's not an option.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, obviously the theater owners are going to want to pull people back in. I think people are going to want to get out. I do think that because we've been moving in this direction for a while, as far as like anything under like $150 million is probably going to be an on-demand release. That would be my guess. And then,
or at least simultaneous.
yeah, when they make theater going, I feel like what they should do is make people going for a night out. They should make theater going more of an experience. And you play the huge movies in there. You get the people to come out, you buy the popcorn, all that stuff. That's where the theaters make their money anyway. Really pump that up, and then for like your indie films and stuff, that's just gonna be an at-home watch, I think.
Yeah, I think indie theatrical release is done.
Yeah.
I live in the home of Regal Cinemas. Regal Cinemas corporate offices are here. They have Regal Downtown West, which is it's their art house, and it's their art house because Regal wants to show they're doing art. So for a city our size, we get a whole lot of quality indie theatrical film. But I just don't think it's sustainable. I don't. And what you're also, I think we're going to see more of the recliner chair, limited capacity, higher ticket with food service will be more the trend.
Yep.
And to be very frank, I like theater, period. I love the theater experience. But it is nice to sit back in a recliner, have alcohol and food brought to you, and watch a movie. It's a pretty good experience, especially in a comfortable seat.
Yep.
So.
Oh, it makes a lot of difference. Like I won't go to like a normal theater with the terrible chairs and stuff anymore.
I still like it. I have a affinity towards it, right?
Oh yeah, I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because like if you're, especially, maybe this is just my problem. I'm very tall, as we've talked about on this thing before, and the chairs are very close together. Like it's not.
Which is why he uses a Herman Miller chair.
It is why I use a Herman Miller chair.
We haven't mentioned Herman Miller all stream.
Well, we just solved that problem.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, it's not comfortable to sit in those small chairs. Like a lot of the IMAX theaters, the chairs in front of you are so close, but I'm just like jammed up the whole time. I don't like it, so I just won't go to those anymore. And it's not like I'm too good for it. It's just not a comfortable experience than to pay $20 to do that.
You have to make sure you get the seat with the bars to throw your feet up over. Like one of those, like, kind of front.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my wife is almost a little over 6'1", and she's all legs, right? So same problem.
Bring my German, yeah, and then I can just sit in the exit row, just kind of sit there in the back.
Make a fire hazard problem. 170 people die in theater when man and Herman Miller chair blocks.
Well, and the problem now is like huge TVs are pretty inexpensive, and sound systems are pretty inexpensive. Quality.
Yeah, there are movies that are theater movies though, right? Like there's a whole big screen element, right? Like to me, I'm just a fan of the theater. I mean, the year before my daughter was born, my wife and I saw almost 80 films in theater. Right? Like that was our thing.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we did, right? I mean, like we'd go on a Tuesday night for
You talking about going to the theater, Sean, or buying a big TV at home?
Or bringing your Herman Miller chair to the theater and causing a stampede problem in the exit. Which one are you referring to?
Yeah. Oh, next trip.
No, yeah, I agree.
Well, see, like 1917 is out now for free. Can't watch it in the theater. But I just had a TV delivered today.
How many inches is that TV?
That it's going to look good on. It's 77 inch.
Woo! I had a 70 inch this huge, so 77 inch, man.
I'm very excited to get it put up.
All right, folks. Well, I think he's a big man, guys. He just said he's a big man.
I know, I'm very tall. He's a big screen.
The green eye of jealousy has infected Green Glob. Be careful. That will lead you to the dark side.
I know. And then, with Cyberpunk coming up, plug that PS5 into there.
All right. You know what? I literally thought to myself, we need to wrap this stream up before someone mentions the fact that I still don't have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
I know it has NVIDIA G-Sync too, so I don't have to worry about the blurring on it. It's nice.
I just want to wrap up our Star Wars stream by saying that Grand Admiral Thrawn is the greatest character ever in the Star Wars universe. It's not even close.
All right. I've never
also
seen
wanna
one
say-
thing with a minute, but I'm excited to have him show up.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Fair
Made with the
enough.
flesh and souls of our enemies. Yes, he is. He is. He is. I agree.
Cool, guys.
All right, well, guys, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate it. We may. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I'm out. Just kidding. Oh.
Man.
He would conquer the galaxy to get a PS5. He wouldn't have to worry about. He wouldn't be all nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Sean, we're glad you enjoy it, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so
you
much for doing this.
Next week we'll be back. Invite friends, guys. We have the more we have, the merrier, right? So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well,
right.
we appreciate all of you all. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Jeremy, thank you as always.
Oh, I do want to say next week will be our last one for the year. School closes for 2 weeks at the end of the year, so we're gonna send it off with a bang, and then we'll take a break till January. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.